Happy festival of Purim. That is when we remember Esther, how she stood up and saved Israel from Iran and its proxies trying to obliterate Israel. Ancient Persia and its proxies trying to obliterate Israel. And Mordecai stood up, Esther stood up. And there are those who are fasting right now all around the world and praying for Israel. It's really getting intense, even in Damascus, you have the Islamic Jihad terrorist headquarters, and we are pushing back against this terror. And Israel will win out, just like in the time of Esther. And, you could see vehicles that are being shot up by Iran and its proxies, used to be called Persia back in the day. And I know that many of the Persian people love Israel, but there are just those in the leadership who hate Israel and spend years, decades, trying to figure out a way to destroy the West, to destroy Israel as well. Look at this car. Multiple bullet holes are seen, but miraculously, none of these bullets hit the driver's seat. I think that's a modern day miracle. And 2 people are arrested near Jerusalem, building up a huge cache of weapons. And our guys, the border police, they went and found this house with all these weapons in Al-Ram, which is right near Jerusalem. And just to defend, these weapons could have, innocent civilians in Israel could have met the other end of the barrel of these guns, and these very bullets could have massacred a lot of our people. Right now, Steve Witkoff is expected to be in Qatar to pressure Israel and Hamas to extend the ceasefire, release more hostages, and that's what we are hoping will happen, and we'll see. This may really be that last minute, that turnaround, that Esther moment, right? And look how diabolical, how cynical these Hamas are. They sent to Gaza a 4-year-old Gazan child, sent to the outpost, IDF outpost, and this child approaches the post, and he says, just happened, and the child says, they said, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "Well, the terrorist organization Hamas sent me here for tactical purposes." They want the child to be hurt. They want the child to try to gather information. Stop using children and human shields. Oh my goodness. It frustrates me. Turn the child safely back to Gaza. And what we're seeing right now is that there's a pattern of abuse. We're seeing that jihad is as jihad does, and they've been jihading a long time in a lot of places. And it's not just Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Jabhat al-Nusra, it's the Hezbollah, it's the Houthis, it's so many others too. Look at how the hostages are being treated, and we know time is running out for them as well. We need this breakthrough. We need them to be released now. I'll give you one story that stood out. You've probably heard of this guy, Omer Wentkert, who was released. And what happens is he shares a little bit of his story, how he had to speak to himself out loud because he was put in solitary confinement for 245 days alone on a meter by meter cell. Solitary confinement. That's not how you treat prisoners of war. That's not how you treat innocent men and women that you just took and you took as hostages. And on his birthday, he remembered it was his birthday. They came in and beat him with a rod. And so they booby-trapped the cell. They said, if you leave, you'll all die, and you'll never be rescued, and psychological torture, and so on. They're going through this. So right now, I just want you to join in with us. Pray. Take a moment to just pray and say, God, help them, home now. Bring them home now. And, anti-Semitism is rising around the world, and we're going to continue to do everything we can to keep this country safe. And I'm just going to read a little bit of the book of Esther, Esther chapter 9. In the 12th month, that is the month of Adar, on the 13th day, that is today, tonight it begins. The time came for the king's command and his decree to be executed. And on that day, the enemies of the Jews had hoped to overpower the Jews and to massacre us. And in that day, the Jews themselves overpowered those who hated them. The Jews gathered together in the cities throughout all the provinces of King Xerxes or Ahasuerus to lay hands on those who sought their harm, and nobody could withstand us because fear of Israel fell on all people. That's amazing that we were able to defend ourselves. And what happens to Haman in Esther 9, verse 24 and 25? Haman is ended. Hamas will be ended. And we believe that this ancient land of promise, the land of Israel, will be safe once again.